Personnel Committee. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderwood.
Here.
Alderfulla.
Here.
Mayor O'Connor.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or additions?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Patrick, did you?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved. There are no appearances that I know of. No unfinished business. We have several items under new business. First item 6A, consideration of resolution 24-12-2758, a resolution to purchase a Zoll cardiac monitor. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Chief McMullen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This resolution is to order the monitor that was approved in the 2025 capital budget. Looking to order it now. There'll be a 8% price increase January 1st. They did agree to not deliver it until March 1st. That can be adjusted as well based on Mark and when the capital budget is funded. They're willing to be flexible on that. And they actually gave us $5,500 in trade-in on our outgoing monitor. So all told, it comes in about $300 under the approved budget for that. Happy to answer any questions.
Do we pay upon delivery or
Yeah.
upon order delivery?
Only on delivery.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
I guess this is one we probably have to have a roll call on. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderfulla.
Aye.
Alderwood.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next item 6B, consideration of resolution 24-12-2754, award of contract for LED streetlight conversion project. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Dan, were you going to address this?
Yeah, if Brad's not yet logged on, I can definitely do the presentation for it.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan, I think he's picking kids up, I think, so. Uh-oh.
Okay. Okay, we did get bids for this on October 31st from 6 suppliers. The Public Works Committee did review the bid tab at the December 4th meeting. Naher Electric Supply provided the low bid for $57,462.50 for this work. It's for materials only. MG&E is soon going to be signed up to do the installation in 2025. I believe Attorney Cole is doing the final, in the final stages of ironing out that contract. So
That's done now.
the bid tab should be included in the packet for your review. And again, this is seeking your approval so we can take it to City Council tonight for, it's on the consent agenda for approval.
So do we pay MG&E then to install them? Okay.
Yes, we do. That would be under a separate contract, and I believe that pricing is included in the overall approved capital budget for this line item.
Okay. And Attorney Cole, you said yes, we do pay them?
There's a separate contract we enter into with them that's a service contract that basically says we pay any and all costs that they incur. There's no write-up on it or anything else.
Oh,
But
okay.
they pass all those costs on to us, and we do pay them.
Okay.
And I did talk to Brad, and he thought it probably about 100,000.
And Brad's coming on right now, actually.
100,000 apart from this.
That'd be their labor fee, so that
Oh,
plus the
okay.
50
That,
cent
the MG&E fee's 100,000?
estimated.
Yeah, there's about 250 lights that they're installing for us.
And is, like, what percentage of our streetlights is this? Or does Brad know?
Brad, do you know what percentage of our inventory is the local streetlights, the 250 that we're getting done?
I'd say it's about 50%, maybe a little bit more, considering how many lights are on Monona Drive, Broadway, and Southtown.
So are these primarily in the commercial areas, or is it kind of all over the city?
No, these are residential streetlights on wooden poles. None of them are commercial lights.
Okay. And about how long does it take will this be going on all year, or?
That's completely up to MG&E's subcontractor schedule.
Okay,
So Hooper Electric is subcontracted with MG&E at the moment to do the work,
okay.
and they're lined up throughout 2025 to get this done.
And I'm just, somebody asked me some more details about
Sure.
it. And- Anyone else have any questions? Doug?
Yeah, but Brad, is this the carbon reduction money, is that the funds that was initially held up by the legislature?
That's correct. It was supposed to be distributed and agreed upon in 2023. That's when we had capital budget slated for this project. And then it took basically the entirety of 2024 to process the CRP agreements and paperwork. And we're one of many that,
Right,
there's some that are still held up, that don't have final contracts with the DOT and have not finished their bidding process.
right. But I think at one point, Joint Finance Committee was holding up funding for the entire program, so that somehow got resolved, and so,
Yeah, as I remember from that is there was some debate on what it was and was not going to be eligible for the funding.
right. I think there's
And
still some issues.
they
though.
kind of ironed that out, and they made a short list of projects that were eligible. And
Right, that's
for the
right.
most part, I think somewhere around 75% of the applications were, for streetlights, basically, traffic lights too, traffic signals.
Right.
So when did we do the first part of this project?
We haven't.
This is the first.
Oh, this is the first part. I thought we'd already replaced a lot of streetlights with LED.
No, we were waiting on
Oh,
this.
okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah. We didn't want to hamstring ourselves by doing a bunch and then the funding goes through and we could have gotten all of that other lighting done with the funding, so.
Yeah. So we're going to hope that we can get additional funding at some point? Is that the,
I would just,
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think they tried to earmark this federal funding for future,
oh, okay.
but with the new, I don't know how that's going to work
Yeah.
with the new, government that's going to be in.
Yeah, could be a lot of changes coming. Any other
Yeah.
changes? Or changes, any other questions?
just a comment, I guess, that,
Thank you, Bill.
we're getting reimbursed 80% of our cost, and at the same time, our utility bills for lighting are gonna go down, so this is.
Good deal.
Yeah.
This is
No, that's a
huge
good
one.
point. All right, well, if there aren't any other questions, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderwood,
All right,
Alder
Motion passes. Moving on to item C, consideration of resolution 24-12-2755, approval of engineering services proposal from MSA for Oneida Park sanitary sewer lift station improvements. Is there a motion to approve this?
move to approve?
Dan?
Thank you, Mayor. This, again, we are seeking Finance Committee approval and City Council approval tonight to proceed. We did receive the December 4th Public Works Committee recommendation on this as well. We're requesting approval of the MSA proposal to complete preliminary design, final design, and bidding services in 2025 for the Oneida Park sanitary sewer lift station replacement. That project is pretty much very similar to the one happening right now at Winnequa Road in Midmore. The dry can at Oneida Park, in the bottom where the pumps are stored, will be removed. Taking that can out of service will eliminate about probably a once a week confined space entry. That'll be demoed and removed from the ground, and we'll install a pump valving box like you see today at Midmore and Winnequa Road, Toniwatha boat launch, a few other areas, and install a submersible pumping station. So those pumps can be accessed from the top, eliminating any confined space entry, and the electrical components are also above ground. So also part of that project will be replacing the force main that leaves the Oneida Park Sanitary Sewer Lift Station, and it goes under Sumac Lagoon and ties in at Birch Haven. So that will be part of the design that MSA is going to complete, and then we're hopeful that in 2026 we can do the construction of this project. So tonight, just seeking your approval of the proposal so we can get MSA signed up for 2025.
Questions, anyone?
No.
This similar project's been going on across from my house for several months now. And I did talk to Dan last week about, apparently there isn't any provision in the plans right now to put some kind of screening or something in front of it. There's just
Right.
kind of all these metal utility boxes and things sitting out there. So he thinks there'll be some money for the first two anyway on Midmore and Winnequa. There might be a little money left where maybe they could plant some arborvitae or something to sort of shield it a little bit, which I
Yeah.
think would make it look a little nicer. So hopefully.
Yep, that is correct. We will have balance at the end that we can do some landscape features, Mayor.
Okay. And I don't know if you'll need something like that on this one, but something to keep in mind when the time
Right.
comes, so.
Yep.
All right, I guess would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Gould. Aye. Alder Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, and we have three of these, each dealing with a different TID district. Item D, consideration of Resolution 24-12-2765, authorizing the administrative removal of territory from tax increment District 12, TID 12, to ensure compliance with the 12% value limit. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Doug?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So the request this evening is authorization of modifications to the three proposed tax increment districts. I'll give kind of an overview with this first one, and then each of the items be able to go into the respective district. So the proposed TIDs are currently going through the certification process with the Department of Revenue, and there was a miscalculation. The city's TIF consultant as well as city staff were under the impression the districts could be submitted as proposed. There was a calculation error where it pushes us over the 12% based on the years, the data that's being used. The 12% value limit is the percentage of value that the city can have within the TIF district. And I can go into a lot more detail, but really that's sort of the high level there. With that, there needed to be changes made to the three districts that are being discussed this evening. These changes will allow for these districts to still proceed on the same timeline as the others. And this is sort of an administrative change that can be made. And really, we're looking for authorization this evening. It'll be going to City Council as well for the same consideration. And then staff will work with the consultant to get those submitted and to meet the deadlines before the end of the year here. So in terms of the proposal, TID 12 is the River Place district. We did meet, city staff met internally with the mayor, the city administrator, CDA chair, as well as city attorney and finance director, just to discuss these and sort of the ideas, the parcels that were available, and to sort of generate consensus on those as to which should be removed. So the suggestion here for TID 12 is the removal of parcel number 9 as shown in the project plan, which is the Chipotle parcel. If you remember from when that was developed, a certified survey map did divide the lot in two. This would be only the Chipotle portion to the north. The reason for this, it meets the requirement, the value that needs to be taken out, but it would also, the improvements as we move from a 23 to a 24 assessed value, this project is complete, so there's less likely to be any upside, less likely to be any improvements during the life of the district. So it's seen as a prudent parcel to remove. So for that reason, the recommendation is the removal of parcel 9 from TID 12. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions, anyone?
Explain why DOR interprets this requirements the
Yeah.
way they do. And being facetious, it is a little hard to get your head around why,
It is. So the reasoning for this and sort of the math that the city had sort of been working on was that all of the values could be based on 2023 values. based on the date of the resolution, the City Council resolution, which was early August of this year, 2024. Our understanding was that that would mean that we could use all 2023 values for every portion of this process. But there is one element, which is the element that's up for discussion at this point, is that the assessed value of the proposed district, that is being driven off of 2024 numbers.
Right.
And so we have seen loosely in sort of the math that I've been doing, sort of a 10% increase in the commercial values that you see in the districts. And so these, and I should say as well, these are very close to the 12%, and it's sort of 0.1% over at most that these have exceeded that by, but just that switch from 23 to 24 has tipped it over. So sort of high level, they were on different schedules, different timing schedules, and that caused that the need for the 2024 values. As assessed values have increased, that put us out of compliance.
And just to be clear, we could potentially put these back into this TID at some point in the future, right?
All being well, there's the possibility, of course, as long as the city sort of has the capacity to do so, there is the possibility, should the CDA and ultimately council choose to, make an amendment to put these back in, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Next item, E, consideration of resolution 24-12-2766, authorizing the administrative removal of territory from tax increment District 13, TID 13, to ensure compliance with the 12% value limit. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Doug, you're on again.
Thank you. So this one, TID 13, is the Pirate Island District. Same reasoning behind this. For this one, about 1.1 million of assessed value needs to be removed in order to meet that 12% requirement. The recommendation here is the removal of parcels number 4 and 5. These are on the west side of the district. They're two single-family residential properties. The reasoning behind this, they will meet the requirements for the values, maintain the intent of the district as well, and it's still, this is a rehab conservation district, tax increment district, so a lot of the reasoning for this was the naturally occurring affordable housing that is on Pirate Island, as well as the opportunity for the Falcon Circle, the undeveloped sites there as well. So all of those will remain in the district as proposed with these changes, and it would be the removal of 2 of the properties to the west end. And it would have us below that 12%.
Questions, anyone?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, F, consideration of resolution 24-12-2767, authorizing the administrative removal of territory from tax increment District 15, TID 15, to ensure compliance with the 12% value limit. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Doug?
Thank you. The last one here, TID 15, that is the WPS potential future Topgolf site over on West Broadway. This one was looking at the removal of just under $288,000 of assessed value. The recommendation here is to take out parcel number 1. That is right at the corner there of the sort of northwest corner of the district, and the 24 assessed value of that would be $935,000. The couple things to point out here is that this is one of the 2 lowest assessed value properties within, or parcels within the district. It does not impact the blight percentage that is required for the district either. This is a blight elimination district. And then finally, it does not impact the proposed Topgolf development, the development agreement that will be discussed coming up this evening either. So for those reasons, the recommendation is the removal of parcel number 1.
Questions?
Yeah.
Doug?
Did, in the discussions, did you consider whether to remove parcel 2 instead of parcel 1?
One of the challenges would be sort of the districts do need to remain contiguous, and so geographically I think that would potentially be a challenge with that. Either potentially of these could be removed, but I would say just from a sort of layout of the district, and again, with the possibility of putting it back in afterwards, it was just decided that parcel 1 was, or recommended that parcel 1 was the best.
And these are all situations where, because the whole plan has not been officially like registered or whatever, yet we can make these changes.
That's the understanding, that this is a change, this is not an amendment. This is prior to the, I believe, certification of the district.
Yeah.
So this is sort of more of an administrative, in order for it to be recorded, and we would still have the amendments available.
Okay.
Mayor, just what, like, the
Neil?
Department of Revenue actually just said that we could just take care of this administratively. And in
That's
conversations
true.
with staff, also with Attorney Cole,
Yeah.
and based on his recommendation, and staff agrees that council created these, with these districts with these boundaries, and we felt it was more than appropriate to bring them back to this body for official approval of those changes to those parcels, so.
Yeah, I guess I was meaning more in terms of not having to go back to the JRB
Right,
and all those things. But you're right, yeah, we just decided better be safe than sorry, and
Yeah, we'd
Have the
feel much
council
better
vote
that
on
at
it.
some point, someone in the future at the Department of Revenue says, well, how did you guys do this, and who said this was okay? We'd rather have the documentation so that council had a chance to review this, so.
Okay, any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
Thank you. Moving on, convene in closed session under Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, paren 1, paren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. This relates to the Broadway TIF entity LLC development agreement and section 19.85, paren 1, paren G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, and this is related to the claim of Tesha Howland. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Poole. Aye.
We are in closed session. Do you want to go into the other room, or do you? Back in open session. Moving on to item I, consideration of claim of Tesha Howland. Is there a motion?
I'll move to deny.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Moving on to item J, consideration of resolution 24-12-2764, approving a development agreement between the City of Monona, Monona Community Development Authority, and Broadway TIF Entity LLC. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
Nothing? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, item K, consideration of resolution 24-12-2759, approving the terms of a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with Wisconsin Professional Police Association Law Enforcement Employee Relations Division. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Neil, were you going to talk about this?
Here first, this first one is with the Wisconsin Professional Police Association. Essentially, the agreement that is in your packet is consistent with the terms that were discussed in closed session. Happy to recap those if anyone would like me to do so, or just really if there are any questions regarding the agreement.
This was the closed session at our last. meeting,
Correct.
Mark, did you have something to,
No, there's no other changes from the last time.
no changes?
And it's been agreed upon by the police department, police union.
I guess we don't have a motion yet, do we?
Yeah.
What we do, yep.
I better wake up.
Mhm.
Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, just, I guess, a comment more that I think this agreement will bring our police employees and the dispatch, the police, into probably the top of the comparable suburban communities and close to the larger suburban communities, which will help, I think, in retention. I think also a key provision is that there's the 2 added steps, so that right now our officers do well the first 4 years and then fall behind, and this will give them 2 more steps to encourage them to stick around.
Patrick, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to add, no.
I think one other also good thing about this is that it's for 3 years,
Yes.
I think, which will be nice. We
I think both sides would agree with that,
yeah,
Mayor.
have a few years of 1-year contracts, and this will be a good thing, so. If there aren't any questions or concerns, I guess would the clerk please call the roll?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, item L, consideration of resolution 24-12-2760, approving the terms of a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with International Association of Firefighters Local 311. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Neil?
Yep, similarly, this is also consistent with what was presented to council in closed session. Again, similar, I would echo Alderwood's comments on this contract as well as the police contract. We really believe this is a competitive arrangement, adding 2 steps, and the unique part of this one was adding the addition of a floating holiday to help kind of balance out with what we feel are fairly equitable, while slightly different terms between the contracts, and I think an equitable approach, I think, value-wise between both contracts. Happy to answer any questions.
And again, a 3-year.
And again, a 3-year agreement.
Any comments or questions?
Other than I'm glad we were able to come to an agreement, and I think it's a very fair agreement with the fire department, and we're looking forward to continue to have the service.
I guess just would add a personal note, Mayor. I want to thank certainly both unions in terms of their professionalism and really willingness to work with us. I think both processes were very professional and very productive. So we appreciate the efforts of both of them, and for Mark Mark on our side too. Mark was, and Leah Kimmel were both
And you.
huge assets in
Yes.
there, so. I just got to referee a little bit, so.
Doing your first experience. Well, I guess you had last year. Right, yeah. Okay, if there aren't any other comments or questions, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder DePolo,
Aye.
Alder Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration of resolution 24-12-2752, award of contract for 2025 community center remodel project. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second.
I
I see Diane is on, but I
Diane
don't
going to be
see,
here,
I
or-
don't see if anyone else here. I think this was the question, I think, Mayor, when we first reviewed this, was the extent of the improvements. This, believe this contract is, I think, under budget. But it does also include some office remodeling, lighting repairs, and repair of the stairs. So it is just a little bit beyond just the stairs was I think the overall scope of work on this particular project. And
Now, the office remodel is for the Parks Department, right? There isn't a, because originally we were talking about remodeling Diane's office, I thought.
I thought that was included.
Is it? I saw a mention for,
Yeah, and Diane is on. if she
Diane's
may have-
on there.
Diane's on.
Diane, do you want to?
Which might think we're in closed session.
Let's see why she's not showing up on the screen here, but she's on here.
Or Brad, do you know, remember? Because Brad's on too.
Yeah, Brad, do you remember what these might have been as well? Here comes Diane. Hi, Diane. Can you hear us okay? Oop. Diane, can you hear us? I don't think she can. Say, Brad, can you hear us? Okay, Diane can hear us. Okay, good, excellent, perfect.
It doesn't.
Did you hear that last question, Diane? Okay,
No, I heard nothing.
okay.
Okay, when I took a look through this afternoon, it looks like they're remodeling the office space for Park and Rec on the first floor, but what happened with the remodel of, I thought there was gonna be a remodel of your office space included in
Yeah,
this.
so, that's all in the plan. So there's
Okay.
lower level and then the first floor. So, yep, the stairwell, the wellness room, or they call it the multipurpose room on the plans, and this office are all part of that plan.
And then is Park and Rec offices on the first floor being remodeled too?
So I was just looking at that myself because I'm not as familiar with what Jake's plans were. It looks like it, and it almost looks like they want to make a door in between the two offices, like where Missy and Jessica are and Jake. But to be honest, that's probably more of a question for them. I think they're also changing things from time to time. So I don't exactly know. I think that they want less noise from the hallway in their offices.
Okay,
So perhaps closing off access, one of the doors on that side.
okay. Yeah, this would be in the third whereas. I guess it doesn't say anything about your office area, so that's why I wondered.
Oh,
It says, create a wellness room and entry reception area, and then office reconfiguration for Parks and Rec on the main level. But as long as
Well,
you think that's the case,
are we approving it tonight at council?
we,
Is it
I think,
started?
is it on for first read at council?
Does it start?
It's not started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Jake
maybe
and-
maybe we could clarify that,
Mhm.
unless Brad knows.
yeah, in the plans, it clearly shows that there's changes to this office.
Okay, okay. I just wouldn't want you to remain stuck in a closet if you don't have. Any other questions?
Where are you reading that where I can make sure that he makes the change?
It's in the resolution, the third whereas.
Okay. All right,
You
I'll
know
take a
what?
look at it.
Not the, I know Leah made the resolution because Jake was gone.
Oh,
So
okay.
she may have read something different.
Okay,
So
well,
I-
maybe we can just add it
We'll
get that cleared
for
up.
the
Yeah.
final vote.
Okay.
Any other questions? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder DePolo.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Diane. Next, item N, consideration of resolution 24-12-2761, authoring the issuance and sale of $2,565,000 of taxable general obligation promissory notes, Series 2024C. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Belanger, were you going to, and I don't know, Mark, did you have a little introduction? And-
Yeah, just a couple quick
and
things.
Jeff, if you want to come up too, and,
Yeah, that speaker right over there. Two things. I sent a revised resolution that was sent by email today. It was updated to, I believe, to $2,515,000 instead of the amount that's shown in the written line here, $2,565,000. What this is what it's for is it's two things. It's for refinancing the loan we took in TIF 7 regarding the purchase we made TIF 7 for the White Horse property, which the road that was put in, and for North Point for developers agreement, and also TIF 8, which is us purchasing the properties and demoing it. We bought some with cash up front, and then some we had to use the Monona State or Lake Ridge Bank for a short-term note, and now we're refinancing that. So, and I pushed Jeff to have this done by end of December, just because it's timing issues with North Point needs their developers agreement, and so does White Horse. So we needed to get done by the end of the year. So that was the purpose of that.
okay, I guess if you want to go ahead, Jeff, unless anyone
Well,
has any
thank-
questions. Patrick, did you have a question?
Oh, just Jeff, can you just state your position in regard to the city for me?
Wow, that's a great question. Through all the legislation over the last 30 years, I started as someone would have called me a financial consultant. We've always been your underwriter. Dodd-Frank legislation changed how I can call myself or what I can call myself. We are now your underwriter. We act, of course, as your consultant in terms of doing everything that's necessary to get you to a point to get into the market. So,
Gotcha.
my duties really haven't changed, Patrick. It's just my name and what you call me. So,
So your three primary and the reason being, it's just so the public understands what you do for us. Like your three major responsibilities for the city are.
yes, and we've always been involved with economic development issues, which is great for the city. And a warehouse full of knowledge, if you will, in terms of my municipal clients. It could be from anything from questions to, reinvestment rates. What are we doing, to try to maximize those things? What's out there, Jeff? What legally can we do? Can we buy other municipalities' securities to put in our portfolio? Those types of things to, obviously I've created TIF districts, written TIF plans, worked very closely with the city and Mark in terms of developing those particular areas in the city because, as you know, we don't have the luxury of a lot of other cities where we've got raw land that we can, process and develop. And you guys have been wonderful in previous councils in terms of recognizing space within this community that is great for redevelopment and continuing to, of course, enhance our property tax base and diversify that base. So thanks for the question.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for all the years that you've provided.
It's been a lot of fun.
consultancy services for us.
I think, Mark,
20 years now.
when did you, 2003?
20 years.
Yeah, I can't believe that, really. So it's been about 21 years for me, yeah. So
Thank you.
it was a real pleasure. As Mark said, we wanted to get this issue done quickly and get it completed so that your 2024 audit would show it's complete and show those funds have been satisfied. We're going to have a closing. We moved it up to the 30th of December, kind of leaning on the clerk and the mayor to sign some documents that are going to be overnighted. I'll be back here tomorrow to pick them up when you tell me they're ready, and I will get them to Coral. So they worry a little bit about vacation, and I said, why would you allow your attorneys to go on vacation during Christmas? I mean, you should be working. You should be working for us here. You laughed a little more than they did. Not
Oh, I
much of
am
a sense
going
of
on
humor.
vacation, so.
But anyway, so
I'm planning to come in tomorrow to
Thanks,
sign all
Mary.
the
I appreciate that, Mayor. That's wonderful, and I'm happy to come out and do that. And I told one of the attorneys that I would in fact do that, and he reminded me this morning. I said, you don't have to remind me, I know what I said. So you have a sheet in front of you which basically is the highlights of the sale. I'll digress just a little bit in terms of the rating process. I want to thank Mr. Hotaker because this one might have been the most work, the most intricate, the most back and forth in terms of helping to educate those analysts, rating analysts, prior to going to committee to submit for our rating. And let me tell you why. Standard & Poor's have changed their metrics in terms of how they determine how municipal entities rank for various aspects of their government. We are very fortunate here in Monona in that we are a AA+, which is a highly rated credit. I'm not saying this is a problem, but we're one of the smallest AA+ credits in the United States, okay? Which you should pat yourself on the back additionally because it's a little harder for us due to our demographics than it is for some of the larger communities to obtain that AA+ rating. With that said, Standard & Poor's is now putting a lot more scrutiny into availability of cash, particularly for someone like us. And let me say this, if we can leave you with this experience that Mark and I have had under the new metrics, a little different, isn't it? The new metrics that they've developed is that it is better for us to have $2 million more in our reserves than it would be to pay off $2 million in existing debt, okay? If our intention is to continue to keep that AA+ rating, okay? Now, we have been talking, the city has been talking about a new campus and some things that we've been looking at over time in terms of fire, police, our campus for government, and a number of around $40 million has been bantered about from analysts, people doing our space needs studies. I bring that up only because we'd like to have that AA+ when you go to borrow that kind of money, because it will save us a bunch in interest costs. Put it this way, that one issue will save us more in interest cost savings than paying off $2 million worth of debt right now, okay? And I know that your budget, you had intended that to do. Mark and I chatted about that. I'm sure Mark has relayed some of that information to you guys relative to that rating process, and that we want to consider those things going forward, that, you know, we're used to paying off debt when we've reached a threshold of basically 20% of undesignated fund balance. It would be okay if you let it go above that, is all I'm saying. As your financial consultant now, looking at our credit and looking at where I think you may want to go or you're thinking about going, don't worry about that fund building up a little bit. We're getting a pretty good rate of return on it in terms of our investment right now, so it's not hurting us. And we'd be paying off debt that's probably costing us less than what we're going to reinvest our money at. So from a pure financial standpoint, I think it makes good sense to keep as much as we can.
It was an issue going back and forth, S&P, because I tried to explain to them, we get too much into fund balance, we're just keeping so much money from the taxpayers, and that's not right either. So trying to get them to understand our end.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of back and forth on
And I had a
that.
real good conversation with the analyst after that, Mark. And I said, you know, I know you can't advise, and they're not allowed to give us any advice on what we should or should not do in terms of those particular things. But they're good enough to lead me in the right direction to know exactly what they would tell me if they were legally allowed to. So, you know, I went back and relayed all of that information to Mark, so he's certainly well aware of it. It makes him a better finance person. It makes me better for you. And that's kind of where we are now, because we want to safeguard that. I don't mind being the smallest AA+ credit or one of the smallest in the country. I'm very proud of what's happened here over the last 20 years. I'd like to continue that going forward with the next council, certainly with this one. And we should share what we've learned, and that was quite a process. And Mark and I was a little nervous. Were you a little nervous for an hour and a half, 2 hours?
was like 3 or 4 days back and forth.
It was 3 or 4 days worth, yeah.
Well, it's good to know.
Yeah, so.
So are you going to explain a little bit about this one?
Could I
Yes.
have a question
Sure,
for
Doug.
Mark about that topic first, if you could? What's our fund balance now, or what do you estimate it will be at year's end?
Yeah, we're gonna be, I think at the end, we're like 23%.
And that's how much?
It'd be over $2 million, roughly.
Are you saying an additional 2 million?
Well, we have an additional 2 million that is available that's not part of that 23, right, Mark?
Yeah, that's a little, yeah, that's the $2 million that I'm gonna use to refinance in the future.
So 20%,
Right.
Doug, has always been a good threshold.
Right.
Anything above that gets us so much more comfort in terms of the rating agencies.
Right.
I've got another AA plus credit, but they've got 60%. I'm not saying that's where we should be.
All right.
I'm just saying they have 60% undesignated fund balance, and they're kind of happy with it. But they have the second highest per tax return numbers in the state of Wisconsin. So,
Right.
you know, their average tax return in that community is over $200,000 per tax return, so.
But I did like a 5-year thing with, especially the referendum. They had to learn how the referendum was working too.
Oh,
So I think
right.
that satisfied
That was
in the
all,
end.
thank you, Mark, that was also helpful.
Yeah.
The community obviously allowed us, and that's our operational side of things, so it's something that, it takes a great onerous off your shoulders in terms of how we're going to, you know, get those particular monies, because as you know, the state really hamstrings you in terms of, ties your hands in terms
Oh, we
of how
know
you.
that.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So that was huge for our credit,
Okay.
big plus, and they recognize that. And their real concern was more about, okay, you know, going forward, where's that fund balance gonna be? And Mark, you know, he crunched the numbers and showed over the next, I think up to 39, I think Mark showed where,
Or 29, it was 20.
29 showed where he thought we were gonna be in terms of fund balance.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But yeah, these are taxable. Of course, they're off the treasury. The treasury market's been pretty volatile the last month, and it's certainly been volatile the last week. 6 and 8 basis points throughout everything for the treasuries on Friday. Off again today. We got this done fairly early this morning, which was good because this afternoon it's a little bit worse. Not 3-4 basis points, but still it's going in the wrong direction. But again, it's for our tax incremental district. It's going to be paid with tax incremental revenues, which are being generated by the development. It's not as interest rate sensitive, if you will, as we would consider our, you know, public purpose improvements, streets, you know, curb gutter, that kind of stuff, water, sewer. But again, yeah, maybe the issue, I could have cut back a little bit, Mark. You're going to get another 36,000 plus to put in your debt service fund, but it's just a wash anyway, so. I left the par amount where it was when we went out on Thursday, and had some buyers that were interested and took their orders this morning, and so. You have basically 469s, and it drops to 459. You can see it's still inverted. That first year treasury is high, and 1-year CDs obviously are reflective of that. But really, when you look over that, you know, we go from a low of 459 to a 505, so 46 basis points over that 10 years. Not a lot in terms of top to bottom. It's pretty flat. All in all, after we pay all the issuance expenses, the TIC or true interest cost, we aren't going to have any investment earnings because I think we pay this out almost on closing, don't we, Mark? Those incentives are pretty much due. So you're at a 5.49% TIC.
Questions, anyone? And Aline, I can't remember now. Do we have a motion here? Yes. I guess if there aren't any more questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And we've got you at the beginning of the next agenda, so pretty much at the beginning.
have always been great.
But, okay. The only thing remaining is acceptance of general fund accounts payable checks dated November 28th through December 12th, 2024. Documentation of invoices paid is available in the city clerk's office. Mark?
Yeah, there's not a lot of stuff here. Just a couple of activities in here. ACOM, page 182, 2, just squad repairs for the police department. Underneath that, building envelope, it's the Public Works garage they're working on. Just a lot of minor, everyday business. Page 188, Amazon, a lot of activity there. A lot of it's related to the Park and Rec department. That's really all I have. It's really small.
Any questions
Yeah, I
about
have-
bills, Doug?
One on 183, EKOW TV.
Yeah.
I believe that's for the ads that they're running for events at River Rink. I actually saw some the other day on TV.
Yeah,
Is that,
that's a tourism grant.
that's what I thought, okay.
Yep.
That was my question, I guess, was what the source of
I
the
think
money was.
there's another one like that too, actually.
Yeah, they had like 3,000 left to spend, and so they've been doing some ads.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to accept the bills?
Motion to accept.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Motion passes. Neil, did you have any staff updates?
No updates, Mayor.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.